So today we have the great pleasure of having our good friend Anna Peters join us. Anna is a Villa ArTeam member. She has traveled the United States teaching and educating both for Villa and other companies. She owns an incredible salon in Fresno, California called Retreat. And she's a mom and she still does hair. Can you believe it? She does it all. And she's a great educator. So please, in the chat, welcome Anna Peters.
Good morning. Hi, Andrew. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. All right, so we are going to talk about creative textures today, and what does that mean to you? I asked a fellow artist that stopped by yesterday to talk, like, what do you think about creative textures? Like, what does that mean to you? And texture is such a big word right now, and how we've been embracing it over the last couple of years, and just really loving what we're seeing out there. People embracing their natural texture, people going back to some 80s, 90s influence of what texture looked like. So write in the comments for me, please. I'm here for you. I want your energy. I want to be a part of your morning and hopefully share some really amazing things with you that inspire you. So write in the comments for me, what are some textures you're seeing right now? What are your clients asking for, or what are you seeing out on the runways, Fashion Week? That's where I always get inspired. So write that down in the comments for me so we could share. And today I'm going to get started with some of these really chiseled waves. What do you guys think about this? I'm just going to show you that up close, what those look like. Hollywood waves, yes, we're seeing those. These waves that I'm going to be sharing with you today are a little bit more sculpted. Would you agree? They almost look like they've been chiseled out of wood or something like that. So I am having a lot of fun with these. And to create these waves, I'm using our Villa 2-in-1 Marcel iron and wand. This tool is awesome because the spoon could come right off and you have the wand. Or you can slide it back on and you have your Marcel iron back. So at your station, you're able to have two tools in one spot, and it's really great. Finger waves, yes. September, yes. Finger waves, that's something that was inspiring this technique here. I saw a lot of that happening on the runway and in editorial spreads. And so I just love that. But it's really important that we play as artists and that we stay inspired and that we learn how to do things differently. Are these looks something that your clients are all going to be wearing? Probably not. They're a little bit more fashion forward. You're going to have a couple of those super cool clients of yours that are like, hey, do you have anything new and different that you can do for me? Have you guys had a client ask you that? And then have you had the moment where you go, yeah, and your brain is just flying, trying to think of something really quick that you could give them and impress them with? Because the reason why they're asking for that is why? Why do you think? Why would your client be sitting in your chair and ask you if there's anything different that you can do for them? Or I love this one, just do whatever you want to do with my hair. That's the best, right? As an artist, is your client just saying, do whatever it is that you would like to do with my hair, that you would think would be the best, or something different. They're asking us that because they might be feeling bored with their hair. They might be wanting to see what else you can do. And thank goodness they're asking you and not going to somebody else to ask, what can you do differently with my hair? So it's really important that you take that opportunity that your client just asked and you give them something that's fresh, that feels really great for them, and that's going to impress them and make them feel excited to be your client sitting in your chair. So this is something, I do think these waves are totally wearable, and as they relax, they really have this cool like graphic edge to them. So instead of using our Marcel iron, how we usually do with the spoon on top, we're now switching it up and we're putting the spoon on the bottom. And what is the one thing that we're always trying to make sure we don't get when we're using a curling iron? That hard line that from the spoon, right? That's something like that we have happen sometimes. We're like, oh no, and how do you get rid of it? Well, you're gonna love this because we're creating those hard lines with the spoon and the ridge of that. So I'm gonna take this section of hair. I'm gonna give you a little tour first. She's been done all over. And I'm just now moving into the front section. So she's wearing a deep side part, which is coming back. Thank goodness. I sectioned her off with our Sambia dry sectioning clips, which are great for holding a lot of hair as well as not leaving any hard lines in the hair. So I then sprayed this section. It's a kind of thin section, no thicker than 1/2 of an inch. I combed through the section and I sprayed with Redken's Fashion Works 12. This is a working hairspray, so it's not too sticky, not too strong. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm going to use my iron upside down. So my spoon is on the bottom. And I'm gonna do it from, I'm switching hands, guys, so that you could see. And I'm going to do it from the spoon on the bottom. I'm going to slide that in. I'm going to clamp down. I want those hard lines from the spoon. I'm going to clamp down, and then I'm going to hold on to these ends and bring them back. And I'm going to be pushing that hair forward, pushing with my iron. So the reason why we want to use a marcel versus a spring-loaded iron is because we have more control over the tension, where it's very hard with the spring-loaded iron for creating this texture to be able to have that control. So you can see right there we have our first wave. And from there, and we have some really nice strong lines happening. We're gonna drop right below that, slide our iron in, and we pushed forward last time. This time we're pulling back. So my ends are gonna go in the opposite way. And this is gonna help you to create more of that finger wave movement where it goes back and forth, forward and back. So we first pushed it back. Now we're pulling it forward towards us. So holding on to those ends. Yes, Sarita, boredom with their present look. That is what we don't want our clients to get. And if we don't give them something new, somebody else will, because I guarantee that is the first reason why clients, not first, maybe you messed up their hair, but a big reason why a client will leave you is if they're bored, just like any relationship, really. You got to keep it fun and exciting. And so that's what today's all about, having fun, playing with hair. Remember when you were in cosmetology school and you were so excited to try all these new things and you just kept playing, and some of it worked and some of it didn't, but that's how we stay current. That's how we grow. Just like children, when they're playing outside, they're discovering what works and what doesn't, and how far they could take things. And we're doing the same today in hair. So why not flip our tool upside down and create a lot of texture and a lot of visual, graphic, beautiful lines in the hair, and showcase something different. So just working my way down, back and forth with this iron. And the iron stays in the same position. It's just either pushing forward or pushing back. What really helps is spraying this section before we start. So there you can see how beautiful that is. It has, something familiar to it that we can all recognize, but it also has something that's got a little edge And I love creating those two together. So I'm taking diagonal sections through her side part, clipping my hair out of the way. It's really important that we work in nice, clean sections throughout styling. That way we're in control of what we're doing, and our results come out a lot better when we have clean sections, combed through sections. Even if we're creating a disheveled look, it's still important that it's done with purpose and intent with every movement that we make. So going in with my iron, same thing. We're gonna place that iron in. Don't be afraid, clamp that down, get those hard lines in there and start to push. And then drop it down to the next section and we're gonna pull. And you could see how this can really work. And like I said, I am working with my opposite hand here. I'm gonna switch it up real quick because it's a lot easier. Make sure that you can still see. So pulling and pushing. Now this hair that's hanging out underneath is coming down over that spoon. So I get that really hard line in there. So the opposite of what we would do usually, we are intentionally doing today for this really nice graphic line. And just going through an opposite direction. Now the ends move forward, but they're still bending down over that spoon's edge.
Anna, would you be able to bring her up close to camera so we can get a bit of a close-up of the motion that you're doing?
There we go. Is that better? There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how does this make you guys feel when you're seeing this happening? Creating these really hard ridges in the hair. What feelings are coming up for you when you see us go in with our tool upside down and purposely creating that hard line? I know that for me, anytime I try something new, I try a new tool or anything like that, I don't like it at first. Right? At first you feel like this is a little uncomfortable. This is too different. This is not what we're supposed to do. So those feelings can come up so often. I'm going to try switching sides here. When we try something new, would you agree? Throw a heart down in the comments. Awesome. All right. I'm so glad. Yes, I'm happy to learn a little new technique with sliding that hair back and forth today. Awesome. You're so welcome. I'm glad that you are liking this. So we're going to finish up a couple more sections here. The thicker your section, the less dimension and less of that hard line you're going to have. So we are intentionally wanting that hard line, so it's important that our sections stay a little bit consistent in the size that they are. And you can do this, it's beautiful on short hair or long hair. I love it because you're not really shrinking up the hair where you're losing length. So just really clamp down on that, pull those ends down, and then start to massage that hair forward. Hi everyone who's joining, thank you so much. We are creating some creative textures today and having fun, getting inspired to do something different. Whether you're a stylist that is interested in editorial work, creating beautiful photo shoots out of ideas and dreams you have, it's so important that we are constantly exploring new ways as artists to create textures and shapes and different feelings in the hair so that we're able to deliver that, whether it's for a guest, for a client, or whether it's for our own self-growth. So now just pulling, pushing forward, and then the next section's pulling back. The ends are always coming down around the edge of that spoon. So I asked a client of mine when I was working on this week earlier, and she's pretty fashionable, and I said, what do you think about these waves? Do you think that's something that you would wear? And she said, yeah, I would totally wear those. So that was really exciting to hear that we could have something fresh and different, and it might not be for everybody, but if it's for that one or two of them that are really fun and fashion forward, it's so great to have something different that you can give them. I love when my clients ask me if there's anything new I can do for them. It's just like an open door to creativity and to doing something that you've really wanted for them, but maybe you felt uncomfortable asking or switching it up for them. So here we go. Here's a great view. I'm taking this section. I'm just clamping down. So forget all the rules you learned of how to not get a hard line in the hair and pull them all out now and start doing it with this. It's Zoraida saying it's hard to try new ideas, but once you try and see results, it becomes a wow moment. So true. It always feels uncomfortable, you know, in the beginning. But when we put ourselves in those uncomfortable situations and we take that risk of trying something new and possibly failing at it, it's amazing what comes from that. You know, bottom line, we're gonna learn from it in some way or another. So that's great. That's a plus. But the other plus is that it could actually be way better. So whether it's a new tool or a new technique or even a life change, you know, those are the scariest ones. And those can make you just stop in your tracks and not pursue the change that you might be needing. And what can happen from that is so much growth and so much happiness. And so, you know, I'm just going off on a rant now because we're talking about change and risk, and I've done all of it this year. So it's been really fun. So if you want to talk more about taking risk, we could do that. But I just really love working with this iron. This is the 1.5 inch size, and it's really nice and comfortable in my hand. And I can't tell you how often I use the features of the spoon just detaching and coming off and being able to have both tools in one station. So I have it set at the high setting right now for more impact and quicker results. She has coarser hair, so we're good there. But it has a color treated setting, which is what I use on all of my clients, and I absolutely love it. So the color treated setting is at 392 degrees, and that is going to protect your client's color from not fading those color molecules. So look at those waves. Look at the shine that you get from this iron. I love, love, love creating these waves. They're super fun. I hope you guys will try this. The next look is a little bit more edgy. So this is inspired by Tom Ford's Spring Summer 23 show that he just did in New York. And I loved it so much that I wanted to recreate the hair from that. So it was super 80s influenced, and it just made me think, okay, perms, frizz, texture, just loved all of that. And how can we recreate that without doing a perm? Personally, I don't do perm services. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I don't use those chemicals, and I just don't do that process. So how can I recreate that look for my client without doing a perm? And I'm going to start off in this underneath section before I move to the top and show you what is starting up there. So in this underneath section, I'm going to use our double waver. I'm going to turn this on, and it's really nice because it has the heat settings go up right through here. So I'm going to go to 390. And once it stops blinking, then that means that the heat setting is on target. And again, I'm going to work with Redken's Fashion Works 12 because of how I'm able to layer it on. It's not too sticky or strong, and it gives me that hold in my curls. I've also prepped these models already with Iron Shape 11 from Redken, so that's going to give us some hold in memory as well. And we're going to go through and we're going to start creating some waves with the double waver down here. So it's still heating up, but I'm going to go in and we're going to just go in and place the wave. So what we're seeing is perms texture frizzed out on the runways. We're seeing a lot of curly hair and not perfectly curled. You know, we started to embrace natural texture, which is so great. We learned how to perfect our clients' natural texture and how to teach them how to do that. But we also are now playing with disrupting that natural texture. And a lot of that, what we saw in the 80s and 90s was that disruption of texture. So look at how beautiful the waves are from this double waver. The shine is so beautiful. I absolutely love how shiny these tools get the hair. And we also have the new single waver. So let me show you the difference here. So here is a single waver. You can see it's a much deeper well for the wave to sit in. And the double waver has 2 barrels in there to create a smaller and a double wave. So really love having the options of both of those and use these regularly. I did the single waver on my hair today. It's just the quickest way to get some body and texture into the hair. I have finer straight hair, so anytime I can play up the texture and get some movement in there, I am all for it. So going through spraying, taking the double waver, going in with that, and just quickly creating some nice texture. I also love using this tool vertically, horizontally, diagonally across the hair. You can see that one's diagonal, and just the difference in movement that you could create just from doing that and switching up the placement and direction of using this waver. So going down through here. So if you're just joining, this is this look we're creating is going to be influenced by Tom Ford's latest show in New York. Super 80s inspired and really fun. Just got me so excited about creating some really big frizzy texture. So here we go. We're going to move this forward now. You can start to see she had a fringe. This is all going to be moving out of the way. But what I want to show you and share with you first is how to create these rickrack little curls. I'm going to pull this up really close so you can see. So these are all set with a hairpin and a bobby pin. Can everyone see that? Awesome. And so let me just share with you how to get the look. Open up my tripod real quick. Okay. All right, so you're going to take a section of hair, and we did this for a photo shoot once all over the model's head, and it was so fun. I'm going to turn our texture iron on also. So this is the texture iron. So you can see that I'm working with all the same directions in waves, up and down movements, and then we're recreating that as well with the rickrack that we're going to show right now. So to turn on these irons, you have off, low, color treated, and high. So same with all of our tools. They all have that color treated setting, which is at 392 degrees. It's going to protect the color that's in the client's hair, and it's going to make sure that it does not get too hot where it disrupts the color molecules and fades that color faster. Okay, so here's our hairpin. I just slid it down at the base. I'm going to come closer for you. So sliding that hairpin down at this section of hair, I have about a 1-inch section of hair. I'm going to open up that hairpin. Can everybody see? So there's my hairpin. My legs of the hairpin are open. I'm going to wrap this section of hair back and forth around each leg. Using my hand to hold that hair down, it's going weaving in and out of each leg. Let's see here. Now they're going to want to close on you as you're wrapping this hair tighter. So you're going to have to kind of be multitasking here, holding the pin open a little as you wrap that hair around. And then from there, you're going to take a grip, a bobby pin, and just slide that straight down to secure that hair. Now you can see I left the ends out. I'm going to pull this up real close for you. I know the lighting's a little hard too. Okay, so I left those ends out. Now you can choose how much of this you want to do and where you want that. Now let me show you what's going to happen when you create that. Turning on my flat iron, my sleeker from Zambia. We're going to now heat up these little hairpinned sections. And what that's going to do is it's going to really heat the hair and create that texture that's within those irons, within those hairpins. So going through, making sure that you hit up every one that you've done. I'm just placing that pin within the sleeker, getting that hair nice and hot, just like you would with a curling iron, heating that hair up. It's going to hold the shape that is created inside this pin. And then I can't wait to show you what happens when you take it out. Make sure you let these pins curl before you touch them. They are going to be very hot. And make sure that you don't leave any out, that you get every single one. You'll know if you didn't, because when you pull it out, it'll be not textured. It'll be straight. So make sure you heat up each one just till it's hot. Just using your sleeker in a different way, just using it as its heat element. And then I'll show you how you can use it to really carve texture into the hair, almost just like a pencil or something you're just drawing that shape and texture into the hair with. So these tools are amazing for the purpose that they're made for, but it's been really fun using them in new ways too, and just getting ourselves excited about what we get to do every day by creating new textures with them. And it's so important that we play as artists and that we try new things and learn new ways of creating textures in the hair so that we can continue to grow, that we know what the limitations are and what the possibilities are with the hair. Once you're grounded in any principle or any foundation, then that's where you can really have fun. So the more we play, the more mistakes we make, the more we understand what can happen and what can't. Heat this one up one more time. Just sliding that in there and letting that heat up. So for this look, we're creating multiple variations of the same movement that we can get from the texture iron, a little micro dose of that ripple effect. You can see the plates on there. Or from the double waver, a little level up, or even larger, the single waver. So we're escalating the size and the depth of this same movement throughout the hair. And now we're going to start sliding these out and you get to see what it creates. So we're going to slide that bobby pin out. We're going to just start pulling that hair. And look at that nice little springy texture that you get from that. So I'm going to take all these out and I'm going to show you how to form and shape this into something that is wearable. So when my client asked if I would perm her hair like the show, the Tom Ford show, I said, well, I won't perm it because she also had highly processed blonde hair, very fine, but I can create that texture for you and that look. So again, just being knowledgeable of what our capabilities are and having that in our back pocket is going to give us the opportunity to give our clients something that maybe somebody else can't. So look at how fun that texture is up close. Just this little rick-rack effect that we're getting with the hair. So it's really easy. Once those pins have curled, we're just sliding that bobby pin out and then sliding that hairpin out the opposite way. I know for a fact I would wear my hair like this because all I've ever wanted is curly, big hair. The more frizz, the better. So you never know. You might have a client out there who's wanting that too. All right, got a couple more. And so we're placing this texture in the areas we want to see that height and that volume. I'm placing this double waver and single waver down below to extend that same movement and texture, but in a softer, looser way through the ends and to elongate the length of the shape. So we're gonna build like this crown of this frizz and texture in there. Oh, there's one more. Let's take this one out. I have somebody said they did this technique for a braid that I had for her wedding or bride. The theme was Frankenstein bride. Yes, that is so awesome. You never know when you might need it. Okay, so we're gonna go through and then these ends, I'm gonna hit up with the double waver. So I left out the ends of the rick-rack pinned areas and now I'm just going in with the double waver and just softening down through those ends. So it's the version of how we did like the beach waves and it'd be straight through the ends. This is way more elevated in texture. but just still softening as it gets down through the ends. What are you guys thinking so far about what you've seen today? What questions do you have? Do you think, this is crazy, I would never do this? Or do you see how you could start to have some fun and play and maybe possibly use some of this for either a shoot or a super fun client, or just for yourself to have fun with hair? I can't say enough how important that is as artists for us to play and have fun. So just going through, grabbing my straight ends, hitting them up with the sleeker, or I'm sorry, the double waver. Getting some of that bang action in there. Awesome, I'm so glad you like it, Zoraida. Okay, so now let's start to create this shape. So what's fun with these, you can expand them and they will just start to really blow up in volume, or you can leave some more formed as well. I like to see a little bit of both, and that's what we're seeing with that natural texture too, is that some of it is still curled in a nice way, and then some is frizzed out. So we're gonna start to now twist and pull some of this hair into a shape that we are trying to create for this client. So I'm gonna just pull and twist, and I'm leaving some of that texture right there in that twist. And then we're just going to pin. So because we have all this texture in the hair, it's gonna hold these grips really well. And again, this is all like 80s influence. So think of those little pulled back twists with the butterfly clips that you would see. Kind of moving in that direction. But look how fun. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of that over our beautiful waves that we have with the double waver, so that there's a transition from that into this texture up here. So always using your mirror so that you can see what's happening versus just looking at the head. If we do that, sometimes what happens is that we get really zoned in on the section that we're working on, and we lose the shape that we're trying to create. When we step back, we're like, oh, that's not exactly what I was envisioning that was happening. So it's really important to constantly step back from your work and take a bigger picture view of what's happening. Just sliding those grips down horizontally into that twist. Now taking this and just frizzing that out, separating those, bringing some forward, and you can start to see how we can create this texture and shape. So I'm going to bring that over and just lay that there. All right, that's looking good. Sliding our last grip in. And then now we could go through, even with the texture iron, on some of these ends and really start to texture those out. So this is even a little micro version of the same wave pattern that we've been working with throughout this shape. Going in where our waves were and just separating those is going to give them more froth and movement as well. Wherever you're wanting the volume is where you're going to place the smallest ripple. So the texture iron's going to be your smallest ripple. This tool is amazing at giving volume anywhere you're wanting it, whether it's for a bride's style, whether it's for just an everyday look where you're just creating volume at the root area. This tool just amplifies the volume, gives it 3 times the amount of volume, and also creates a lot of grip and texture in that hair, so that if you're creating those big braids or any type of shape, you can have that by just placing this volume where you're wanting to see it. And I even love, like, while I'm using this tool, I could create bend just like you would with a flat iron, where you're bending that tool around. So you could create waves with the texture iron just by spinning it and bending the hair around the barrel. So you can see how that can start to really play up. Yes, I would totally wear this. Someone said, high five, me too. I might be rocking this next week. And so now we could start to really just play with that shape. I'm gonna go in and create a little bit more deeper ripple here. And then I think that's going to finish her up. So just looking at that silhouette and keep playing and seeing where you want to see some more texture. And so you have 3 different ways of creating this movement in the hair. You have your texture iron for that micro dose of the ripple. You have the rick rack with the hairpin trick that we shared for a little bit more ripple effect, that rick rack type of ribbon effect. And then you have the double waver, and the softest form would be the single waver, which I'm wearing today on my hair. But I love bringing all of those into one head, because what we see with natural texture is it's not all the same. It's not all perfectly curled. You can start to bring this hair back and move this into a shorter look as well if you're wanting. I'm just going to bring that down and just create this really big movement up through the top. All right. So we learned 2 creative textures today that hopefully inspired you to pick up your tools and use them in a different way. We started out with this finger waved inspired on edge wave, using our marcel iron upside down and to purposely create those hard ripples in the hair. So taking what was once told not to do and to avoid trying to do. Yeah, here, somebody asked to see it closer to the camera. What we were told never to get those hard lines, we're now purposely placing those in. And it's just giving it this really edgy feel to a glamorous kind of wave. And I absolutely love playing with that. And then we moved into this 80s inspired texture with all the frizz, all the volume. That was inspired by the Marc Jacobs show. No, Tom Ford, sorry, Tom Ford's latest show. So I hope you guys love that. I hope you got something from it. And I can't wait to see. Please tag me in your work so I can see what you're creating out there. And thanks for joining.
Yeah, so awesome, Anna. And you always make me want to play with hair every time you're on. It's super exciting to just see all the possibilities. And I love that last look with the multiple different ways of creating those patterns within it and the way that they combine. And I like what you said. Sometimes these things challenge our personal taste. You know, like, oh, I'd never wear that. But we have to open up and expand that concept if we want to be creative hairdressers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate you and have an awesome rest of your day.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Now.